Our country is suffering from a radical far-left movement. It's not even to be believed when you see this, what they're thinking. Where do these people come from? Where do they come from? That is trying to defame, demoralize, defund, dismantle, and dissolve our great police departments. It's a left-wing war on cops. If Sleepy Joe Biden were to become president, he would immediately pass legislation to gut every single police department in America. You know that. And probably she's a step worse. She's a step worse. Kamala. I was sort of hoping he was going to pick Pocahontas, but that one there. She of Indian heritage. Remember, I said, I have more Indian in her than she does, and I went into it at great length, and I turned out to be right. I have none, and I had more than she had, you know. She's another beauty. Portland and Chicago are the left's roadmap to America, and sadly, what's happened over the last year in New York City. And it's an incredible thing to look at, an incredible, incredible thing. And I just saw somebody here named Rudy Giuliani. Do you know Rudy Giuliani? Where's Rudy? Is he around here? Get up here, Rudy. Get up. What are you doing down there, Mr. Mayor? This is the greatest mayor. This is the greatest mayor our city has ever had. Rudy, come on up here. Come on up. What a great, and he's a man who is loyal and dedicated and tough. He got on television to defend me. He said things that even I wouldn't say. He was brutal. He is incredible. He knew. He got it. Joe Biden's national police strategy will be modeled on the Bill de Blasio catastrophe. It's a catastrophe. No one will be safe in Biden's America. No city, no town, no suburb will be spared. And you see how I did something to help the suburbs of our country last week. A lot of people don't want to even talk about it. But we did something that nobody else would have done. They're ruining your suburbs. They want to ruin it. They want to destroy their housing values and your safety. But we ended it. We ended the program entirely. Somebody said, let's amend it. I said, no, let's end it. The Biden-Harris agenda, and I guess Harris could be bigger than you think in terms of the importance as a vice president. They said there's never been a more important pick, but in the end, it's not going to matter because we're going to win. You know, honestly, we don't have a choice. We have to win. This country will go to hell. The stock markets will crash. Your 401ks are going to be worthless. You'll see what would happen. Crime all over the place. I mean, you take a look at Portland. You take a look at Chicago, and I can name plenty of other cities, but I don't want to embarrass anybody. My agenda is anti-crime and pro-cop all the way, and that's what it's got to be. So in recent months, New York City has witnessed the horrors that result from putting extreme left politicians into power. De Blasio has launched a crusade against, and he really has. He has launched a real crusade against the police, like I don't think anybody's ever really seen. But there are cases that are just as bad. There are some cases radical left that maybe even are worse. The mobs have scrawled disgusting slogans such as "Cops must die." Think of this: cops must die, and "Kill all cops." Okay, who would even have thought 10 years ago that was possible? On the side of buildings, they put those terms, and they vandalized St. Patrick's Cathedral, the beautiful St. Patrick's Cathedral, with horrible, horrible statements, horrible phrases. And then, of course, that disgusting chant, "Pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon," right? Remember that? And now all of a sudden, it becomes mainstream. It becomes, oh, isn't this wonderful? They were talking about you. You know that, right? We just can't forget it because we have to bring law and order back to our cities, back to our country, and we're doing it. Wherever we go, we do it. But we have the radical left running it, no good. Rioters have rampaged through Manhattan and looted Fifth Avenue. An NYPD sergeant was left, as you know very well, in critical condition after being run down with a car A Molotov cocktail was thrown into a police vehicle in Brooklyn, and NYPD's highest-ranking uniformed chief and other officers were beaten in broad daylight on the Brooklyn Bridge, and they're not allowed to fight back. You're not allowed to fight back. You fight back, you lose your pension. You lose your life. They put you in jail, you fight back. No, you got to be able to fight back. I mean, to be one of the saddest, I don't want to embarrass anybody, but one of the saddest things, Rudy, that I've ever seen, Pat, was when they were dumping water on the heads of two of your fellow officers. And I wish they fought back. I promised nothing would happen to them. Because who even knew that was water? Could have been plenty of other things, probably was, actually. But it could have been some very dangerous material, not water. And they didn't fight back. First time I've ever seen that. I wish they did. I wish they did. I wish I could have talked to them. I said, fight back. I swear you'll be protected. This is the left's vision for the future of the United States of America. If they win this election, November 3rd, got to get out, got to get everybody, you know. You know, the Democrats have an advantage because they have certain people that automatically vote. And we're going for New York. You know, we're going for New York. Because we did well last time. You know, New York is not supposed to be Republican territory. It was Ronald Reagan, but a lot of the people left. A lot of the people that voted for Ronald Reagan left. That was the last time. And they voted for Ronald Reagan, but they left. They went on to other places. They got tired of being abused and high taxes and all of the other problems. And we're going to go and run. And we're going to run on law and order. And we're going to run on lower taxes. And we're going to run on doing something with SALT. You know what SALT is? Yeah. Remember Schumer? Schumer said, I try and bring home things to my people in New York. You know what he brought home? SALT. You know, for those of you that don't know, look it up. It's not good. But if they win this election, every city in America will be under siege. You know that. Because the police are good in Seattle, and they're good in all of these different places I talked about. They're not being let do their job. Can't do their job. Their pro-crime agenda, the Biden-Harris group, will also crush our economy because there is no prosperity in cities that are ruled by fear. And I even think the politicians are afraid. If you look at Portland, the mayor is trying to say, oh, these are my friends. And then he goes in there and they want to beat the hell out of him. And then the fake news doesn't report that. They'll show him standing there with the sound down so you don't hear what they're saying to the mayor. Fortunately, he had 5 bodyguards when he went in, right? But it was very dangerous for him. And I don't know if he's doing this out of stupidity or out of fear, because I think they're afraid, actually. My administration... Sounds like one of my friends. My administration has made clear that the Department of Justice will partner arm in arm with our police heroes, and we're with you all the way, and we'll prosecute all federal violations to the full extent of the law. But, you know, we have to be invited in, unless we do something very drastic, which is a big statement. But we have to be invited in. But you don't need help. You guys don't need help. You have the greatest police force in the world. You have the greatest in the world. All they have to do is tell your top people to do your job. And you're going to do it properly. You're not going to do something in excess to what you need. But they want to tell you, do your job. And you're not going to have any crime in New York. It's going to go down like it did with Rudy Giuliani. It's going to go down so fast. That happened quickly, Rudy. That didn't take too long. That didn't take too long. You know, he looks good enough. Let's draft Rudy. You better be careful. He'd win it. He'd win very easily. Because people want that back. They want it back. That's why I think I really am. I'm putting it into play. Most people would say, oh, you know, spend your time at other places. But I'm going to put it, we did very well. We did incredibly upstate, Long Island, all of the various, Staten Island was great, right? Staten Island was great. By the way, Joe Rose is a disaster. I will tell you that. I hope they get him out of there. He's a total lightweight in many ways. But hopefully get Joe Rose, get him out. Turns out he's another beauty. My administration will also increase funding for police so that we can hire more police officers nationwide. We're increasing funding very substantially. And in many cases, they don't want it. They want it put into a different group. I said, what's that group all about? And it's called socialism, and it doesn't work. Never will work. By contrast, New York City voted to defund the police by $1 billion, if you can believe it, even after experiencing the bloodiest June in nearly 25 years. It's dismantled an elite team of crime fighters, that crime-fighting unit that your friends, you know who they are. They were incredible people. They were making us all safe. Nationwide, they were making us safe. And we got to get them back. We got to bring them back. Hopefully they don't get a job for too much money. Tell them not to look too hard, because we're going to bring them back. We'll get them back. They're the best. Rudy started that. They're the best. Joe Biden and Kamala, they always say Kamala Harris, have a plan to spread this mayhem to every community in America. Now, in all fairness to Joe, he doesn't really know what's happening. They say, Joe, we're going to spread it around. Oh, okay. You know, this guy doesn't answer any questions. They're complaining. He gets up today. He made a statement. You know, I just did an incredible deal with UAE. You saw that, right? Everyone's shocked. Even the New York Times said it was an incredible deal. Can you believe the New York Times? I can't even believe it. Thomas Friedman, they wrote an incredible editorial. It was a great deal. So we did this deal. Nobody else did it. In fact, we were at a huge deficit because of the horrible deal that Obama made with Iran. Gave him $150 billion. Billion, not million. 150 million's a lot. That would be too much also. 150 billion. Then gave him 1.8 billion in cash. I broke the deal. I terminated the deal. But we made a deal, UAE and Israel. And Sleepy Joe got up and said, he made the deal. I said, whoa. No, he actually, did anybody hear that? He actually took credit for making that deal. For a change, I'm being praised all over the world for making that deal, and that's just the beginning. But he actually took, I think they just said, say this, Joe, say that you made it. It's like it was Obama's economy, right? Before the plague, we had the greatest economy in history, greatest economy anywhere in the world, let alone ours. And now we're building it back up very rapidly. You see the number? But they were taking credit. They said, oh, this was Obama. He said manufacturing would never come back. That was Obama. Manufacturing's come back big. In fact, even 2 days ago, they announced incredible numbers. When asked recently if he favors cutting police budget, Biden replied, yes, absolutely. But I'm not sure, honestly, he knew what he was replying to. So we don't. Yes, absolutely. Oh, what did I say? What was I referring to? You could use that clip for a million different things, right? Yes, absolutely. You never say that as a politician. You always finish out. Biden has been described by police as, and he described the police, you saw that, as the enemy. He said it's the enemy. Kamala Harris applauded LA's recent decision to slash its police budget. And LA really went to town on it. You saw that. Millions and millions of dollars off the budget. After the riots in Minneapolis, Kamala encourage Americans to donate money to the so-called Minnesota Freedom Fund, which bailed out rapists, assaulters, and murderers. They bailed them right out of jail. Biden's staff donated to the same fund. This is, look, we can't lose this election, okay? We can't lose. You know, we're building a big wall. We're building the wall. It's up to almost look at her. She's all excited about it. Well, we're building it. It's up to 280 miles. We'll be up. That'll be completed. You're right. I like her. No, you're right. And you know who liked the wall, southern border? You know who like it the most? Hispanics. Because they know the area. They know what comes in, and they want to be safe. They want to keep their good jobs. They want to keep their beautiful houses. They've done well. But they know the area the best. We're doing great with the Hispanics. As San Francisco District Attorney, she chose not to seek the death penalty against a gang member who killed a San Francisco police officer, going against the wishes of the officer's wife, going against the wishes of the police. In his Unity Manifesto, written with socialist Bernie Sanders, is another beauty, Bernie. Crazy Bernie. We got names for all of them, don't we? What's better, Sleepy Joe or Slow Joe? Tell me. What is it? I go back and forth. I go back and forth. Okay, let's do it. Who likes Slow Joe? Who likes Sleepy Joe? That's what I thought. I got all these guys telling me, oh, you ought to do, we don't like Sleepy because it's rude. They said it's rude. I said, you know, we're talking about the President of the United States. I can tell you one thing. Putin and Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, they're not sleepy. We don't have to say, we're never going to say sleepy or slow. And we can't have slow, sleepy people dealing with them either. Because we were doing very well against all of them. All of them. And we have a good relationship now. Remember North Korea? We're going to go to war with North Korea. Obama would have been in a war. Millions of people could have been killed in that war. Where's the war? Everybody said Trump will be in war in the first week. Where's the war? In fact, we're bringing people out of the endless wars. You know, the wars where they're doing your job. They're policemen, and that's great. But they want to fight. They want to win. We didn't let people win. Bring them back. We shouldn't have been there in the first place. So we bring them back. And what we're doing is bringing them back with great dignity. It's incredible what's happened. We've totally rebuilt our armed forces, $2.5 trillion. We've given you hundreds of millions of dollars worth of equipment. Pat, you know that. Hundreds of millions of dollars worth of equipment came out of, it was collecting dust, right? It was Army surplus stuff and all the different, it was beautiful stuff. And Obama didn't want you to have it. They said it made you look too strong, too tough. You look too military. So they said, let them get shot. Much of it was protective equipment. You know that. All of the protective, I released it all. I gave it to all the police departments all across the country. And I have had more thank yous for that. And someday they're going to have to explain why they didn't want to do it. And this was sitting there. It was not going to be used. A lot of it was new, but it wasn't going to be used. And I said, give it to our great police all over the country. And we did, and it's been great. And just to finish up, I call it the manifesto because Bernie Sanders, you know, he was going to make an agreement and they were going to go a little bit further right. They didn't. They went further left than Bernie was. So in the manifesto, Biden pledges to abolish cash bail. How about that? No cash bail, no bail. Meaning that violent and dangerous criminals would simply be released after arrest. New York tried this insane policy and crime surged nearly 25% in New York City, and now it's up much, much higher than that. This is an old statistic. It's up much higher than that. So nationwide, the Biden plan to abolish bail would release over 400,000 criminals on our streets. So all I'm saying is this. We have the greatest police departments. Go outside of New. We have great police. We have great forces. They have to be allowed to do their job. And you're going to have... And I've seen Pat, and I've seen you. You're going to have a bad apple. You're going to have somebody who makes a horrible mistake. You're going to have somebody who has a bad moment. But it may be just a bad apple. We've seen it. But that doesn't mean we're going to close up our police departments and, like in Minneapolis, tell them to run, leave. Did you ever see anything like that? Where they left. We can't ever let that happen. We sent in the National Guard 5 or 6 days later. We waited. Within 1 hour, the whole thing was, you never heard of anything. On the monuments and statues, you saw that? They were trying to rip them down. They ripped some down. I immediately signed an order that if you get caught ripping down a monument or a statue, you get 10 years in jail. 10 years, not... And I don't know about you, I haven't seen too many statues being ripped down lately. They were going to have a march on Washington. They wanted to rip down statues. I said, so wait a minute, you're going to rip down statues, you're going to go to jail for 10 years. I signed it publicly, very publicly. You got to let them know, otherwise it's not fair. You know, they get 10 years, they didn't know about it, right? Wise guys. So we let them know you get 10 years in jail. And this is not, you know, I took an old law because they don't do those laws today. Today, get that through the House. Tell Nancy Pelosi, we're going to give somebody 10 years. She's terrible. Look at what's happened to San Francisco. Look at the tents. Look at the homeless. She ought to go home and clean up her own city. But take a look. But it's 10 years in jail. They were going to have a big march on Washington. They were going to come down and knock down. They had them earmarked. And as soon as they announced that, nobody showed up. It was amazing. Big march. Nobody showed up. They said, no, we're going to do it the following. That was a Thursday night. We're going to do it the next night, Friday. Nobody showed up except 4 people. They all got arrested because they were the 4 people that the media had on top of the statue of Andrew Jackson doing damage. Almost got it down. And I'll say something, the Washington, the DC police were great because they had the ropes. You saw the ropes, they were ready to pull it down. They were all set. And our guys said, stop it. And those guys ran in, and that thing was over. Those Washington, those DC police did a job. That wasn't like, you know, they did a job. So we're going to give you back your stature. We're going to give you back your status. I hate to say it, but it's been taken away. We're going to give you back the right to be New York's finest, the finest of all time, the greatest of all time. And we're going to win on November 3rd. And the people that didn't love Trump, never Trumpers, I mean, a lot of them are saying, you know, I'm starting to like Trump a lot because they see what's happening. And we're going to give New York a real shot, and I think we have one hell of a shot at doing it. I just said this morning, the New York Post, which has been great, the New York Post had a cover story about that. They came and interviewed me at the Oval Office, and they talked about law and order in the city. And I said, you know, I did very well, Republican-wise. I did very well. We did great. And I really believe that that solid core of people has to be real. I mean, first of all, they're leaving. A lot of them are leaving. But they have to be disgusted with what's going on. So I said then and there, and I'm saying I said it today, I put it out today strongly, we're going to go and give New York a real shot. I think we have a real chance of winning New York. But we're going to give you so much of what you're looking for, because I know exactly, it's so easy. You need leadership, you need money, you can't defund, it has to go the other way. You need equipment. But what you need more than anything else is your dignity and respect. You need respect, you need your dignity back. And this guy has taken your dignity away and your respect away. And I am telling you, on November 3rd, you're going to be getting it back like you haven't gotten it back before, because this is really a referendum. So I want to thank you very much. And Pat, thank you very much. Fellas, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much.
USA! 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 Mr. President, today it's an honor for me to stand at this podium and be the voice for 24,000 New York City police officers, proud police officers that are here today chanting USA, chanting Trump for president, and they mean it each and every time they say it. Mr. President, it's obvious where you hold the NYPD in your heart. We heard the news this morning that you got some family news that your brother had fallen ill. And naturally we thought, well, we may have to postpone this. The president may not be able to come. And then our phones rang, and we were told that the president will visit his brother, and then he will visit with you. That's where he puts you. New York City police officers and family. That's the type of president we have. Mr. President, what we all have in common here today is that we all have a police officer's shield in our hip pocket. We all have friends and family that are here to support you. And more importantly, in this crowd is our family members too. The ones that worry what happens when their loved one takes that last step off the stoop and goes to work, and they know they may not come back. And we know you understand that, Mr. President, because you're constantly, always loud about the support for New York City police officers. Mr. President, the city you helped build, the borough where your father started in South Jamaica, is sliding back. The borough in which you build so many skyscrapers was just recently looted. Our city is sliding back because the mantra, the false narrative that not only City Hall, the second floor in the State House, and those that want to become president are passing this false narrative that New York City police officers and law enforcement are evil. How absurd is that? that they blame us for society's ills. Well, let me tell you this, Mr. President, I know you know that. The most compassionate people on the face of the earth are New York City police officers. Mr. President, if you look at the crime numbers in New York City, we're sliding back where we're at shootings. We're at shooting levels back to 1993. That's because of that narrative against the police officers. That's where they're handcuffing our members. That's where they're saying if you take a bad guy off the street, that you will go to jail. Now that's the upside down world. So what we can't do is let that attitude spread beyond the city, beyond the State House, and go to the White House, Mr. President. So we're here today for a reason that you understand, to support not only New York City police officers, but law enforcement across this country. And this is not new for you, Mr. President. You do it always. See, the sign of a leader is someone that'll stand at a podium like this and speak the truth and will say what needs to be said and not be afraid to do it. Well, we're seeing leaders in our state that are following the crowd, Mr. Mayor. Mr. President, what they're doing is not only following marches, they're following rioters. They're trying to catch up and do whatever they can to make sure they're happy. I oftentimes wake up and say, who are they listening to? They're not listening to the folks in the neighborhoods that we patrol. They're not listening to the folks that say, we want police on our streets and we want to respect them. So today, Mr. President, there's two things that we'd like to do. We'd like to present you with a statue that means so much to New York City police officers. This statue, we do not hand out lightly. This statue is very special to New York City police officers for what it represents. This is a police officer standing tall and proud with his hand on the shoulder of a child. Now that child represents not only a little boy, not only a little girl, but a crime victim, someone that needs our help, someone that was victimized. That's what police officers do every day in this country, in this city, in this state. They stop. They put their hands. They give them comforting words, the compassionate words that helps everyone. Mr. President, we know that you hold police officers in high esteem. So there's not many of these that are given out. But we're giving it to you today, Mr. President. We hope that you can put this in a prominent spot and that people that can see it and realize that those that are in the mob that are tearing down what we do, our profession, has a supporter in the Oval Office that understands what this stands for. Mr. President, it's my honor.
How does the Oval Office for that sound? Okay, good.
Mr. President, I said we have two things to present to you. And we presented this special statue. But we also have some practical work to do because there's an election that we're in the midst of. So I'm here to say this. Number one, I have 36 years on this job, 21 as the president of this fine organization. I cannot remember when we've ever endorsed for the office of President of the United States until now. That's how important this is. Mr. President, we're fighting for our lives out there. We don't want this to spread to the rest of the country. We need your strong voice. across the country to say we have the support of law enforcement across this country. Now, many times people say that a union like ours, law enforcement groups, give endorsements. Not in the New York City PBA, sir. In the New York City PBA, Mr. President, you earned the endorsement, and you've earned this endorsement. I'm proud to give it.
Wow. Well, I just want to thank you. That was incredible. I didn't even know that I assumed it was like given out, and when it's because I see a lot of things given out and they shouldn't be given out. But special man, and you are just really special people. You really are. You're very brave people. I will say this. You know, you read a lot of negatives. They have a lot of fake media, fake news, false news, call it whatever you want, corrupt news. But you have no idea how much the people of this country love our police departments, our police, our law enforcement, our border patrols, our ICE. People, ICE, they go into the toughest situations. They take out MS-13 by the thousands, and then they get abused. But they're not really abused. They're loved by the people of this country. And New York's great police force is something that, you know, I grew up with it. I used to go with my father in Brooklyn to a little, I shouldn't tell you this, little hamburger place for lunch. And we'd see these big cops come in, and they were great, and everybody stood at attention when they walked in. And we're going to get that back. You're respected just the same, but they don't allow it to happen. We're going to allow it to happen. You are great, great people. And remember this, you are loved by our country, loved by our country, and respected by our country. And all we have to do is let you do your job, right? Just let you do your job. Pat, I think it might be appropriate, so we really do. We have New York City's greatest mayor of all time, of all time. He took over a city that, I don't know, was worse, maybe better. I don't know what. I'm going to ask Rudy, what's the difference between that city and the city of today? Certainly it caught up very quickly. For a long while, it was a lot better, but when Rudy ran it, it was incredible. The crime statistics, the murder, I hate to use that word, murder. I don't know if this place has ever heard that word, murder. It's not into the word of murder. But when you look at the stats, I looked at him the other day. It was incredible what he was able to do in a short period of time with only New York's finest. Without New York's finest, he couldn't have done it. He let him do the job. And he had 3 very great commissioners. He keeps telling me 3 great commissions. I always say, who was the best? He doesn't want to tell me. Maybe he'll tell you. But I've asked him many times, who is the best, Rudy? I want to know who. Who is the best? He'll never tell me. But there's always a best, right? There's always somebody. But I just want to thank you. I want to thank Pat. I'd love to ask Rudy to say a few words. And we love you all. Thank you very much. Rudy, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. It's a beautiful thing to see. Thank you. So, I know you since I was a little boy. My Uncle Willie, my Uncle Bob, my Uncle Vincent, my Uncle Anthony were all New York City police officers. One was a detective, one was a sergeant. Then I had a 5th uncle who was a firefighter, but I'm not going to mention that right now. So I grew up with you, and then I got to work with you as a prosecutor, and I get credit for bringing down crime more than any other mayor ever, anywhere. But you did it. I didn't do it. I know you did it. That's why every time you were hurt, every time you were injured, I'd be the first one to show up at the hospital. Not because I'm a great guy, because it's my duty to be there. Because you got it done. And I hear people say, oh, we don't need police officers to reduce crime. Out of their effing minds. Out of their minds. I went and acquired more police. We took over the housing police. We took over the transit police. We made them all one because I needed to reassign them to the right places. We took police officers out of white neighborhoods that voted for me, who were really angry at me for doing it, and we put it into black neighborhoods where Al Sharpton would complain about us, but the people loved it and would ask me for more. People in Harlem asked me for more, Bedford-Stuyvesant, Fort Greene, all the places you know so well. You go to the people, and the president is right, and Pat is right. They want you, they respect you. I have people of all races, black, white, Hispanic, come up to me now in the streets and tell me, please, please, tell someone, we need more police. We love the police. Let them know it. Don't listen to these people on television. We love them, particularly come from the black community, particularly. So they know who you are. It's just a bunch of, they've become really radicals who want to overthrow our way of life. That's what they're about. And you're part of it. You're in the way. You're in the way of their being able to create a socialist government, to create a government where, well, it's going to be created because they get people to hate America. That's why they burn statues. That's why they burn flags. That's why they kneel during the national anthem. That's why they say of course we don't kneel. What do we do during the national anthem? We stand up, right? And what do we do? That's what we teach our children. It's all being done for a purpose, though. It's all being done for a purpose. They want us to believe that our country was founded by an evil man, that our first president was an evil man, that the author of our liberty was an evil man, that the emancipator was an evil man, that the general who won the Civil War was an evil man, because they want to convince enough people we're a hateful country. And they teach that in our schools now. 1,000 schools have a curriculum which says that America has never been able to overcome the horrible sin of slavery and that all Americans are responsible for it. Can you believe that? We're teaching that to our children. They're being force-fed that in school. And then they get it from the media. So it has to be you. The best representatives of the Constitution, the law, fairness, decency, protection of people have always been police officers. Because you do something that all the people who criticize you don't do. You put your lives on the line every day to protect me and my family. I don't do that, and that's why I honor you. You made the right choice in this president. I was with him. When he ran in 2016, I was with him for 4 straight months. He would campaign until 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. All the kids would be asleep on the plane. He would be awake. No matter how late it was, when we'd get to the airport, everybody was exhausted. There'd be about 30 cops that were there, maybe the guys on the motorcycles or a couple of guys guarding the plane. Everybody wanted to rush on the plane, and every other candidate I ever saw rushed on the plane. He never once rushed on the plane. No matter how far he had to walk, he went up to the uniform, and he shook hands with every single one of them. He did it because it's for real. He's not a politician. He's actually a real person. And that's why he's accomplished in 3.5 years more than any other president. I interviewed an African-American gentleman the other day, I have the tape, and he said that this is the best president for the African-American community since Abraham Lincoln. Nobody even close. And he's the best president for police officers. And he just accomplished what nobody else was able to accomplish in the Middle East. Nobody has been able to bring a Gulf Arab state to say they're going to recognize the state of Israel. No one has done that. Obama made it almost impossible to do it because he had an animosity toward Israel that was sick. He's turned that all around. He's turned around the reputation of our country in the world. He made it the greatest economy we've ever had. We got a terrible setback because of China that owns Joe Biden. And I can prove that to you, but that's another story. They own him, they own his son, they own his family. He doesn't even have the room to negotiate with China. You're cops, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Yeah. Like, all that money for the kid was for the kid? China's going to give away $1.5 billion to that kid who can't hold a job? I'm not going to say why. Some of you are probably detectives. You figure out, why did they give $1.5 billion to the Biden family when Joe Biden was negotiating for us, U.S.? Oh, by the way, he lost in every negotiation. But the family made $1.5 billion. I got to say any more? You got it. I feel sorry for Joe. I feel sorry that he has senility. I feel sorry for the country that he picked a horrible prosecutor. That woman is a bully. She's a bully. Here's what I mean by that. I know prosecutors like you know cops. She prosecuted little people, and she wouldn't prosecute big people. All the politicians in San Francisco, all Willie Brown's friends, they went free. But she went after 1,500 marijuana smokers. Marijuana smokers. Not people selling it, smokers. And then when she was asked if she smoked marijuana, she said, ha, 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 yeah. Tell me this isn't a horrible person. You put people in jail for something that you laugh about, but you put them in prison and take their liberty away because she wanted statistics, because she's a bully. She can't be that close to the, oh my God. So, thank you. I know what you guys can do, and women. I know what you can do on the street to protect us. I know what you can do politically, too. So let's get him elected. We need him right now more than he needs us. Thank you.
So again, it's an honor that you came. I just want to pay my respects to a really good guy that I love. It's my brother. He's very ill. And he would not have, I mean, he just said, don't even think about it. So I really appreciate what he said. He's having a very tough time. But I really appreciate being with you today. He respected you as much as I do. He respected you like everybody. We all respect you. And we're going to let you do your job. We're going to let you do your job. That's all we have to do. And again, thank you very much. It's such an honor to be with you. To get the endorsement, Pat, of this group of incredible men and women is mind-blowing. Really, it is mind-blowing. And I'm going to leave you with this very simple phrase. I will never, ever let you down. I will never let you down. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much.